Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about a book that I recently finished reading, which is The Winter Road by Adrian Selby. I had the good fortune of actually talking to the author himself about the book in Steve's channel. Steve talks about books, and it was such a wholesome, beautiful discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a great time discussing the books with both Steve and Adrian. If you haven't watched it already and if you have read the book, please do check it out in Steve's channel. I will provide the link in the description below. Adrian is such an amazing author. He is an amazing person. He is very passionate about the world he has created, and he is very true to his craft. So go and check out the interview if you want a full spoiler discussion of the book. My name is Angela. I'm your own bookaholic brown name. You can call me Angie. In this channel I talk about books. So if you love books, please subscribe to my channel, and also please like, share and comment so that I can engage with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the review. It is a fantasy book in the sense that there is a lot of magic and magical elements that are used in the book and introduced to us in the book. However, magic is not the central focus of the author or of the book or of the story. Magic is there as a booster to move the story forward, but it is not critical. In fact, I think that the story would have worked on its own without the magic or the magic system itself, because that's how strong the foundational story of this book is. It is definitely a story of emotions and feelings. It's a human story. There are a lot of themes that are explored, which I will come to later on in this review. But when I consider and put together all these themes that I could identify while I was reading the book, I would consider this as a grim, dark fantasy, leaning more towards military fantasy fiction, because there is a lot of fight scenes and combat scenes. In fact, this book, I think 3/4 of the book is all about confrontations, combats, and fight scenes, and political, not intrigue exactly, but a lot of political plots going on. And yeah, so that's how I would categorize this book as. Definitely grimdark, there is no doubt about it. So the plot of the book. The plot is quite simple. So this is actually happening in this fantasy world, and specifically focused on this area on the map called the Circle. Now the Circle comprises of several hundreds of clans, living in that area, and most of them are in conflict with each other. They are basically warring clans. And our heroine, her name is Ter Amundsen. She is a retired ex-mercenary, and she has been part of many wars and campaigns and has been extremely successful in her career. She's strong and resilient and has seen it all in her various combats throughout the years. And now she has decided to retire. Instead of retiring peacefully to a countryside and just enjoying the rest of her life, what she decides to do with her amassed wealth is to build a road across this circle, connecting the different clans, and setting up trade routes so that it can help in the wealth and prosperity of the circle. So basically she wants to give back to the society, and that's her plan. So definitely the journey is not easy, especially because she doesn't know if the clans will be welcoming, because do they want to be civilized, do they want to be part of this whole venture that she has thought about. And secondly, there are rumors of a very ferocious, fearsome warlord who is kind of bothering the clans and annexing the areas and creeping into the circle slowly, trying to take over the circle. But she doesn't give any heed to these warnings, and she sets out on her journey, and we find out what happens during her journey, what she loses and what she gains. So the book is divided into 3 parts. Part 1, we get to see Ter, starting on this journey and the kind of challenges and obstacles she faces. And when I say challenges and obstacles, don't think it as silly obstacles. She faces all kind of bloody ambushes, betrayals, backstabbing, and unimaginable torment that she has to go through. And people around her also suffer because of certain choices that she makes, which weighs on her a lot. And this is definitely, like I said, it's a grim dark fantasy, and it gets grimmer and grimmer as we progress. I mean, I was thinking the first floor world was grim, but trust me, guys, this is even more grim. Adrian Selby has somehow managed to create a world that is, I think the grimmest world that I have seen so far in fantasy. Also, the narrative style is quite interesting because each chapter is, alternatively now and then. So we get the past and the future alternatively. So because we get to see a glimpse of what is happening now, we know when we are reading the then part that of course there is something horrible that's going to happen, and there is a sense of foreboding and tension that is building up, which I at some point I just couldn't take. I had to stop for a couple of hours and then restart it because it was getting too tense for me to handle. So definitely this is a grim dark world, no doubt about it. And part one ends in very unfortunate situation, and in part two we get to find out whether Tara and her posse, whether they get to take their revenge. Because this is grim dark, you never know, right? It could be an utter failure. So like I said, every page when you turn, it's getting worse and worse, the situation for our beloved characters. And it is so dark that at some point it did tear me up. Especially there were some scenes involving children suffering and children going through unimaginable situations and battles and war like situations. Really, yeah, I had tears in my eyes. So trigger warning for violence and yeah, disturbing scenes that might tear you up. And part three is quite interesting because all of a sudden the narrative style changes, and it's in the form of letters that is being exchanged between two main characters. I will not name the characters because then it will be a spoiler for you, but definitely we get to see a glimpse of what happens after these main two parts of the book, where main events of the book happen, and how things progress from there. And that's what we get to see in part three. And yeah, there are some heartbreaking moments. There are some things that you do not want to happen, or you wished didn't happen. That's part three. And then you have this wonderful epilogue, which is kind of a segue to the next book, which is, I think, Brother Red. And I'm definitely looking forward to reading that. So that was the structure of the book. That's how the book is structured. Coming to magic system, now definitely there is magic in this, even though it is not the central focus of the book. There is a magic system, and the magic system in this book is plant based, you can call it, because basically it is plant alchemy. So there are these people who are the plant alchemists. They are called druidas, and they can mix up herbs and plants and shrubs and whatever leaves, and they can prepare brews and concoctions which can be then consumed by people, and that increases their sensibility. And usually it is taken by soldiers or mercenaries, who are going into combat or battlefield, and it increases or enhances their ability, their reflexes, their sense of reality, etc. So basically this is kind of a drug, and hence definitely there are side effects, right? So once the high wears off, the user is subjected to shakes and pain, and prolonged usage can also cause the color of your skin to change. And usually a person who is using this and who is a kind of an addict to these drugs and are referred to as paying the color. That person has paid the color or paid the color. That's a wonderful colloquialism that is used in the book. I will come to colloquialism in this book later on. But that's the magic system. Basically, it's all about plants. I don't recall that Adrian has named this system anything, but I would call it plant alchemy. So this book definitely has strong female characters. Our central character, our main character is a female. She is strong and resilient, this ex-mercenary, and that is all fine. But what impressed me is the amazingly secure male characters, secure in the sense secure in their masculinity, male characters, especially if you consider Tear's own husband or life partner, and another colloquialism that they use is they call them keep partners. That's keep. And Tear's keep is Oda, and he is a very what do you call that, homely man, and he takes care of the kid and does the cooking and all that, and that is considered quite normal. There is no, it is not frowned upon or anything. So I like the way the world is built around gender, because it's, yeah, we get to see very strong characters, both male and female, secure in their own gender roles, and which are not conventional gender roles. So, kudos to Adrian for building such a world. So I mentioned colloquialism, so that's where my next favorite thing about this book comes in, which is language. Now, 5 years down the lane, if somebody quotes a line from this book, I would definitely be able to identify it immediately as something from this world, because that's how differently Adrian treats language in this book. There is a lot of colloquialism. There is this intentionally erroneous grammatical what do you call that, usages that especially our protagonist Tear uses, because she is kind of a semi-literate or maybe illiterate person. Her skill is not the academics or academia, but her skill is being a soldier, being a fighter. So definitely she has this very rogue element in her. She's never been schooled maybe, and so you can see that in her speech and also people around her. So it is so refreshing to see language treated that way, and that was quite surprising, and I really loved that. And also there are some amazing colloquialism that he has introduced, and you don't get the meaning until you come across that word in different context many times, and then you understand, okay, this word means this. Like for example, dut, D-U-T-S means kids, or keep, like I said, means husband or life partner or wife or whatever. So, and there are a lot of information about the world. You have to understand this is a standalone book, and it is vast. It is a vast world, definitely, but you don't feel any kind of info dump coming your way at any point in time. Everything is organic. You get to learn about the book as the story progresses, and this information about the world is doled out to you in small portions, without overwhelming you, and it's quite easy to consume, quite organic in a way. So that's a beautiful way of creating a world in a standalone book like this, I guess. There are several themes that are explored by Selby in this book, I think, and the main important thing which is quite obvious is revenge. So our protagonist Tear, she goes through so much in this book. She is beaten, she is battered, she is ultimately almost killed, and she loses a lot in her life, and that kind of gives you this notion that okay, the next part of the book is going to be about revenge, or the revenge trope is coming your way. You can see that, and even the towards the climax, that this climax is coming from a mile away, but when it actually hits you, you are in fact surprised. So that is a great skill, right, to do that from an author's part. So I really enjoyed that. Another important theme well explored by Selby is a sense of drive and sense of purpose. So this woman, she, after her retirement, she could have chosen to just lie around and just use up all her money and enjoy her life, but she decides to build this road, and she is driven by passion to give back to the society. So that's a very important and noble purpose in her life, and that is one of the main theme, to give back to the society, or to aim or look for noble purpose in life. One thing that initially put me off was the sheer number of characters that are being introduced, and the names are not familiar. Definitely they are from a fantasy world. So very weird sounding names, and a sheer number of them, it's definitely difficult to keep track of them. And also the odd use of grammar and colloquialism, it does take a little bit of time to get used to. But once you are used to, once you know the world and understand the world, then it is just such an amazing journey, you know, that you take along with these people, and you're so connected to these characters. I definitely feel this is a character driven story, just like the First Law series, where you know it is mostly character driven. So I also think the same about this book. It is definitely character driven. There is a lot that you can learn from this flawed woman. So when I say that this main character Claire, she is driven by this noble passion for building a road for her society, that doesn't mean that she doesn't have any flaws, right? She definitely is flawed, and you can see that in the story when it unfolds. I don't want to touch upon those topics because it might give away some of the plot point, which I do not want to, which might come across as spoilers. So to conclude, I would say this was an amazing read. Guys, if you love grimdark fantasy, then you have to explore Adrian Selby's work. I have read only one book and I'm quite impressed, and I'm so grateful that he agreed for the discussion in Steve's channel, and I am grateful for the opportunity to have had direct interaction with him and to understand from him directly, you know, how he wrote the book, how he conceived the world and his characters. So that was my quick review of Adrian Selby's Winter Road. If you haven't read it, go and check it out. If you have read it, please check out the other discussion in Steve's channel. Link in the description below. I will see you soon in another video. This is Angie signing off. Bye bye.